the reddest of red hair, and I get asked all the time if the carpet matches the drapes.
Does the carpet match the drapes, and other ways in which redheads have been sexualized in history for their very unique features. I'll start with more recent ones and then go back a little bit historically, but this is, for example, an ad from Canada Dry. Thirsty, go steady with ginger, and by going steady they mean And again, this is a Mad Men style propagation of the idea that redheads are fiery, over-sexualized, and great for a good time. This creator, who I love because she makes fantastic fantasy content, also said that a man approached her and told her that redheads are like Apache helicopters. Difficult to drive, but a hell of a lot of fun. Excuse me, sir, this is a Wendy's. But as I was going down the research rabbit hole into this phenomenon, I came across some choice quotes from history and pop culture, such as "Red hair is caused by sugar and lust" by Tom Robbins, no less. It was a common trope in movies and televised fiction, such as this poster here, "Beware of redheads." Ooh. And in this other motion picture called "The Man Who Loved Redheads." So it's safe to say that it was common for redheads to be sexualized simply because of their red hair and at a very early age, which is just disgusting, to be perfectly honest. And here's the thing, sometimes sexual harassment and jokes like this aren't necessarily covered under the umbrella of discrimination. They should be, but they aren't. So when I see figures like this that say that 60% of males and 47% of females with red hair experience some kind of discrimination, and this is globally, mind you, I have to think that it must be much higher, especially in the female population, if sexually based offenses and microaggressions would have been counted in the study. So let's go back in history and also into religion to see where some of these ideas came from. For example, a lot of pre-Raphaelite and some of the traditional artists of the time in which they depicted a lot of religious iconography would commonly show Lilith, the first woman, and of course Judas as both having fiery red hair, and the red hair is a signifier of their relationship with evil and how they refuse to conform and blah blah blah. Mary Magdalene was also supposedly a redhead. I don't need to explain that one further. And these weren't very harmless ideas. No. During the Spanish Inquisition, red hair was identified with being also Jewish, or additionally being evil. And so women and girls and people generally with red hair were just burned to death and killed in horrific ways. Yeah. And in this iconography, whether a woman was good or bad depended more on her status than on her red hair. For instance, if you were poor and had red hair, then you were bad. But if you were rich and had red hair, ooh, then you're gorgeous. Even Queen Elizabeth, who was one of the most beloved queens of her entire reign, made it her signature look. And a lot of ladies in the court then started dyeing their hair red to be more like Elizabeth. But she could do this because she was great at branding and because she was exceptionally rich and powerful. So in this very famous iconography, of which there was very little of in the world because they were commissioned by the church or by very, very powerful people, red hair was always associated with evil people in history, with the devil, with degeneracy in general. So it kind of stoked the flames of this mythos of people with red hair being terrible people. And in that way, somehow justifying bad behavior toward them as just and morally right. So the persecution of red-headed women took on many, many different forms. And it goes as far back as Egypt, if you want to go even further back in time. Red-haired people, including men, were often sacrificed to the gods to appease them, and then their ashes were strewn over the fields so that people would have a prosperous harvest, so that none of the red goes to waste. It's been pretty bad, guys. And so, yes, like sexual harassment doesn't necessarily go to these levels, but don't be so surprised that a lot of your red-haired friends are telling you about the horrible harassment that they have experienced at different points in their lives because of the red hair. Because, yes, it goes back way, 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 way deeply into our DNA almost as human beings on this planet. And unfortunately, it still continues to this day. It didn't take long for me to find images like this. This is a Hogwarts uniform, the kind children wear. So, And I'm really happy we're having a discourse about this, even as a faux redhead myself, because yeah, it's shitty when people are discriminated against and are treated badly because of the way they look, which the Black community understands very, very well. Don't be shocked if this is a pop culture melding of both those experiences.